Hi everyone, I'm John and thanks for joining me here in the Boneyard. All horror is in the eye of the beholder. And in this episode I wanted to recommend and briefly discuss 5 movies that had a visceral impact on me through their cinematography, storytelling techniques, and most of all, their approach to portraying horror on screen.
Look the other f***ing way.
These are movies that had an impact on me so huge that they stayed with me and affected my mood long after the credits rolled. These are just a few of the movies that made me realize why horror is one of the most accessible and popular genres in movie history.
Surprise!
I'm not sure what filmmaker Jennifer Lynch was thinking when she made Surveillance that released in 2010, but I know how it made me feel, and it wasn't very nice. I left the cinema with my head hung low and a queasy feeling in my stomach. And this is one of the only movies to ever make me feel that way. There is an old saying that art, if it's any good, should make you feel something, and boy, oh boy, this movie delivered on that promise.
I like that, and I want you to tell her that when she comes back in.
Surveillance is twisted as it plays on the viewer's feelings of helplessness. A father is emasculated in front of his wife and children at gunpoint. A child's innocence is taken away by being forced to watch intense moments of physical and emotional violence. And a woman watches as her husband is crushed and her child dies. And then, in a moment of insanity, speaks the words,
"I'm not having a very good time."
That is the kind of movie Surveillance is, and it's very, very powerful.
Copy on the road therapy. Air Force 97.
No! No! No!
I thought at first that the movie was a film about fate and how we all have no control in our lives whatsoever, and at any moment, someone or something evil can come and take everything away from you if they feel the urge.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Ma'am, please return to the vehicle.
Please don't shoot me! I'll be in the car, honey.
Please, officer! I wanted to ask you.
Please don't shoot me, officer!
It is a movie that exists to make the audience feel uncomfortable. And even though it isn't a nice feeling, it is a feeling. And as long as you're feeling something, you are alive. And that's what I love about Surveillance and the work of director Jennifer Lynch. Her feature film work isn't quite like anything else, and made me feel different while watching than any other filmmaker, and I have to say that means that I admire her work.
Stephanie! No! No! No!
Please don't shoot me! Don't shoot me, officer!
This movie scared me through great performances. Everyone involved is fantastic.
Look, I'm a little confused. You should be used to that by now.
It has a great cast, including Bill Pullman in particular, is insane in this movie, but he's also insanely good in this thing.
Okay, what's this smell?
And the movie takes you on a roller coaster of emotions through horror, love, confusion, terror, helplessness, and most of all, great storytelling.
She was so scared.
I'll bet you were all scared.
Jennifer Lynch has a successful career in television and is a great director.
No matter what anybody else thinks, as terrible as it is when people don't like it, and as great as it is when they do like it, I have to be able to deal with myself every day. Did you make the film you wanted to make, Jen? And I did.
But her feature film work delivers a lot more and needs more attention because her voice is original, and she reached into my little heart and made me feel something, and that is the true power of film. And that is why I highly recommend Surveillance to all horror fans. But be ready for a few emotional gut punches.
I know what blood looks like.
Next is a film that's opening scene shocked me as a young film fan. This is Ingmar Bergman's From the Life of the Marionettes. Bergman is considered one of the best filmmakers of all time because, well, he is one of the best. His technique, his stories, his direction, it's all flawless. But what strikes me as being seldom discussed by film fans is how dark and horrific his work actually is. Now, it's said that he only ever directed one horror movie, and that is the visually outstanding Hour of the Wolf, which is famous for inspiring many filmmakers, including David Cronenberg in his most famous work, The Fly. But I consider a lot more of Bergman's work horrific than just Hour of the Wolf. His work in tragedy and extreme violence, The Virgin Spring, directly inspired Wes Craven's Last House on the Left. His work Cries and Whispers contains stories of bodily mutilation, and his heralded work Persona is downright creepy as well as being magnificent. In his work From the Life of the Marionettes, a murderer recounts his story from the asylum, and people play tragic mind games for the sake of evil, jealousy and personal want.
Bedeutend wirklicher und mit einem intensiveren Entsetzen als in der grauen Wirklichkeit meines Alltags darstellte. So ist es eine Banalität.
It's not just a shocking opening scene in which the murder takes place that makes this one of my favorite horror movies. It is the evil that lurks in the mind games that we play with each other.
Seine Frau langsam wegerobern. Ich habe die furchtbare Lieblosigkeit in seiner Ehe gesehen und war ein wenig besessen von dem Gedanken, dass sich mir zuwenden würde.
And the sickness that lies dormant within all humans that we are all capable of. And for me, that makes The Life of the Marionettes a horror movie I highly recommend to any fans of the strangely dark and horrific work of the master Ingmar Bergman and his incredible contribution to world cinema.
Das Mädchen wird in einem Moment emotionalen Kurzschlusses ermordet. Und in einem vermutlich ekstatischen Augenblick vollzieht Egermann den Geschlechtsakt mit der Toten.
Like Surveillance, this movie stayed with me long after the end because there is something relatable to all the madness and terror that takes place in the crazy, often sickening and demented worlds that Bergman creates. He is a true master of cinema, but I think also a true master of horror.
Ich habe dir doch gesagt, dass wir alle Türen verschlossen halten müssen. Du musst bleiben.
The next film is one that I will just mention briefly because it didn't particularly scare me or freak me out, but what blew me away was the cinematography. This is The Silent House, released in 2010 from director Gustavo Hernandez. Back when I saw this in a small art house cinema, I was heavily into camera work and the magic of the single take. And this movie is designed to make the viewers feel as if we are experiencing the terror and disintegration of our lead character as we follow her story in real time. There are movies that attempted this before and used it to perfection, such as Alfred Hitchcock's Rope, which built suspense through the ticking clock of a cat and mouse scenario taking place in real time, and movies that have tried it since, such as the fantastic and overlooked detective thriller Too Late starring John Hawkes from 2015. But in terms of building suspense and watching a character fall apart before our very eyes, The Silent House is a magnificent accomplishment in marrying technical filmmaking and performance together. To me, it is an inspiring feat of horror filmmaking and a ride that I will continue to take whenever I wish to be inspired or watch creative horror at its very best. This movie works because we see it happening in real time, and the filmmakers understood this perfectly, and what we see is the cracks gradually appearing in the sanity of the lead character. And that is what impressed me the most about The Silent House, because what do we all fear the most? Physical and mental disintegration. And this movie nailed the collapse of the mind on screen. So far, these movies have all been works that I guess you could consider cult classics. And Abel Ferrara's The Addiction from 1994 fits that term perfectly. It stars independent darlings, such as Lily Taylor, as someone who is attacked in an emotionally charged act of violence and her life has changed forever.
Please.
It also stars Christopher Walken as an ancient vampire living in artist Julian Schnabel's apartment.
Mankind has striven to exist beyond good and evil from the beginning.
It's shot in gorgeous black and white and uses that stylistic choice to a clear advantage, and I think Ken Kelch's camera work in this film makes it one of the best-looking movies of the 1990s.
The entire world's a graveyard, and we, the birds of prey, picking at the bones.
The Addiction is an incredibly creative visual work, but what I find most impressive about the film is its moral implications, and how it used the vampire's need for blood as a metaphor for addiction, but also many other things about what it means to be a thinking, feeling, living human being.
My indifference is not the concern here. It's your astonishment that needs study.
This is a movie about violence and the impact it has on the individual, as well as how words can be used as weapons if someone smart turns to the dark side.
Dependency is a marvelous thing. It does more for the soul than any formulation of doctoral material. Indulge me.
The movie begins with musings about the philosophy of war, atrocities, genocide, and the violence of society, and its wider implications, but then brings everything down to the individual and the personal struggle for good and evil, right and wrong, that lies within us all.
Reason you told me to go. You're hurting me. Are you kidding me? I'll crush you like cardboard. What do you want from me?
If you were a vampire, would you infect your friends? If you were a heroin addict, would you willingly participate in affecting others with your affliction? These are just a few of the questions that The Addiction asks. It's a modern Gothic tale that leaves you with more questions than answers, as I think all good Gothic tales do. And if you are a serious Gothic horror fan, I think it's fair to say that this movie will blow your mind a little bit through its complex tale of philosophical vampires roaming the beautiful black and white neon-lit streets of 90s New York City. The city is a character in The Addiction, and it's a beautiful one. The Addiction is an incredible horror movie, and one that's not to be missed. Finally, I just wanted to bring some attention to Yuzuru Masamura's 1969 movie Blind Beast. Now, this movie is about as art house as they come in more ways than one, because the movie literally takes place inside a house that is a living, breathing work of art. Like the other movies on this list, I was drawn to Blind Beast first because of its horror elements, as I was told that it was somewhat of a mind warp of a movie. But eventually, I fell in love with the movie's strange, erotic mix of horror and high dramatic tension. And then once again, because this movie is visually a creative masterwork of design and cinematography and editing, and it sets the tone like no other movie that I have seen before.
傷つけ合う道具が変わり、とうとうナイフまで使うようになってしまった。
Just to give you a little taster of what this movie is about, in a nutshell, the story is horrific in itself. A model is kidnapped by a blind sculptor and his mother. He takes her to his isolated pitch-black warehouse of grotesque sculptures built from fragmented female forms.
ここはどこ？どこなの？
With a plan to use her as the ultimate muse for his art. What begins as terror turns disturbingly into a case of Stockholm Syndrome, and the model begins to manipulate her captors, exposing their crazy, disturbing relationship as mother and son.
だから二人で楽しく食べたいのよ。どうかしら？それともいつものようにお母さんと食べる？
And emotional disadvantages because they're insane people.
なんだい、母さん。
And gradually,
遊んでないで。
this takes us on a journey of mutilation, death, and gives us one of the most disturbing finals in film history.
愛し始めると同時に、私の目も弱り始めた。
Masamura's tale of art and obsession is not one for the faint-hearted and contains elements of torture, but at the same time, this isn't your typical gore-driven horror. It's a gorgeous, erotic, psychological descent into carnal desires and obsession.
来て早く。
Blind Beast is a surreal work of horror, where a blind sculptor's obsession transforms his warehouse into a grotesque shrine or even a church of torn, broken, and fragmented flesh. It's a psychosexual power play between captor and captive, and its design elevates this beyond a shocking horror movie and turns it into a provocative meditation on art, control, and the darkest sides of human sensation. If you're a fan of the wilder side of horror, Blind Beast is well worth checking out. Thanks for listening to my alternative horror recommendations. Have you seen any of these movies on the list? Let me know. I'd like to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters and channel members. And if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And please consider joining the channel here on YouTube as a member to help support independent content creation. To support me, you can leave a super thanks or check out the store tab, and please remember to leave a comment below with your thoughts on the video, and let's chat about your favorite alternative horror movies, because it's your contributions that keeps me digging up classics right here in the Boneyard. Please take care, everyone, and as always, thank you all from the bottom of my heart for watching.
This world and the people in it have always been dark and incomprehensible to me.